All right, we're live. We're live. We're live.
Man.
Welcome into the first ever lunch hour with
baby.
Brandon. Get together, bro. With my guy Chris. Chris, introduce yourself real quick. Well, I'll introduce you. How about that? I'll give you.
Okay. I like that.
Division I football player. This is a sports talk show, so he adds a lot of credibility. I love football. I'm a basketball player, as y'all know, but he adds really the credibility behind it. So Division I receiver, starting receiver at Kent State. And then Brandon, introduce yourself.
Oh, man. Oh, my God.
By the way, these are my guys. The concept of the show is we're going to go live. I'm not sure how many times a week, but we talk a lot of sports, and we're going to go live and just put it online. So, yeah, this is like guys.
Live, man.
Yeah, bringing the group messages live. These are guys that have actual jobs that are going to, we're taking lunch and we're talking sports. Go ahead, B.
Okay, so athletically played basketball in high school and then had a little stint with the Air Force when I was in the military. Well, I still am, but when I was active duty, played a little bit there basketball-wise. Job-wise, I'm a data analyst, been doing it for about a decade, and I really know numbers. So I like sports. I like numbers. I can read between the lines. Obviously, it's sports, so numbers don't mean everything as much as people would like to tell you that it does.
That's good, B.
I like right now.
I like that. I like that, B.
Job, boy.
I like that. All right, we're kicking it off. We're kicking it off. We had a lot of football this weekend. I watched a ton of football. We had some headliners. We're gonna get right to this Tyreek Hill situation. B, I know you feel strongly about this.
Man.
So I'm gonna start playing the footage. Bear with us. The sound is not there. All right, can you guys hear me still?
Is that a Lamborghini? I can hear you.
Okay, cool. So context: Tyreek was speeding. He was going there's another. There it is.
Why didn't you have your seatbelt on? Hey, keep your window down.
He gave him the license and registration. I'm confused right now. Like, what is?
Hang on, B. Hang on.
Hey, keep your window down. Keep your window down. I'm gonna get you out of the car. As a matter of fact, get out of the car. Give me your ass. Get out of the car. Give me your ass. Break that freaking window. Get out of the car. Get out of the car right now. We're not playing this game. Get out. 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 What part of blood don't you understand? Hey, Drew, I'm getting arrested, Drew. I'm getting arrested.
Drew must be the agent or something.
I'm getting arrested, Drew. I'm getting out, bro. God damn, twin.
Ops guy or something.
When we tell you to do something, you do it. You understand? I'm getting out. You understand? Not what you want, but what we tell you. You're a little confused.
I'm getting out, bro.
Too late.
Chill,
Too late.
All right, bro. Take me to jail, bro. Do what you gotta do, bro.
We are. We will.
Good, bro.
All right, B.
Oh my.
You feel passionate about this talk, so I'm gonna let you kick it off.
All right. So the first thing is, I saw there's another footage of seeing how fast he's going. Look, I'm no speedometer expert or whatever. I'm not a radar type of person, but it did. Look, I drive very fast. I have a decently fast car. It did not look like he was going 100. That's
fast car yourself.
That's number one. Number two, he gave him his license. Normally, when you're at a traffic stop, you get the license and then they go back to the car, write the citation, they come back. He had backup there or whatever, but he just went, yo, lower your window, lower your window. There's people there. You know what I'm saying? Like he gave him the information he needed. Why did he not go back to write the citation? And then they took him, yanked him out the car. He's not even doing anything crazy. They put the knee in the back. It's an uncomfortable position to even be in. So like, and he's saying stuff like, you're confused. Like he's went in there with the mentality of like, yo, I'm going to show him I'm the man. Like, that's what it felt like. He didn't say anything like, yo, I understand that, you're driving fast, where you go. He didn't ask any of those questions that you normally would get. And so I'm sitting here thinking like, why are you being that aggressive? Like you already came in there with a mentality that I'm going to be the aggressor for no reason. There was no attempt in de-escalation. And as a police officer, you're supposed to be the professional in this manner. If I'm talking to, if I'm leading a group of people, if I'm a presenter or something like that at work, and someone's being back and going back and forth with me, my job is to de-escalate and to help them understand. My job isn't to argue back with them. That doesn't do anything. You should know as a cop, if you be aggressive with someone, they're going to be aggressive back. And he might have been talking to you, but he wasn't throwing jabs or nothing like that. He wasn't doing any of that. He was just refusing a little bit, but he gave you the license and registration. You need to run your checks, run the plates, whatever, see if he has any warrants or whatever. You need to do all that stuff at your computer. So I'm just sick in terms of how they handled it, and they didn't try to de-escalate. I didn't hear no positive words, nothing, no de-escalation, nothing. It was just, I'm getting arrested.
I'm gonna poke holes in what you said because we got to go back and forth on this. One, we really don't know if he was going 100. I know you mentioned that.
No,
we don't. Hold on. We don't know that he wasn't. So I think it would be a stretch to assume that he wasn't. And also, I think that in the area that he was speeding in, like it was a very slow area. Like the cones were out. Like you don't. Like if someone's speeding in an area like that, it sticks out. So it probably startled these cops a little bit. Like driving that fast in a very slow area near the stadium probably was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm thinking of it from both perspectives. Like, what could have Tyreek done better here as a human? These cops are humans, right? They have egos just like regular people. I'm not saying they should, and I'll get to the cops. But I'm saying, what could have Tyreek done differently in this situation? He probably didn't handle the stop as good as he could have. I'm not saying that he did anything wrong legally. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I'm a person that is evaluating the situation. He rolled his window up on the cop. Probably not like there's no real point in doing that. Since you want to poke holes in one side, let's poke holes in both sides. I don't think Tyreek handled the situation as good as he could have. And you have to understand these cops, let's keep it real here. These cops were, let's keep it real. These cops were Puerto Rican / Cuban. They looked like they don't play anyways. You know what I'm saying? This is not, and I want to say that because I don't want this to be a race thing, because that is what it is in our country. And also, there was a golfer, Scotty Scheffler, that was wronged in a much worse way. I would say this Scotty Scheffler guy was like, that was a much worse situation. But now I'll get to the cops. Now I'll get to the cops. You have to. You said it perfectly, B. You have to go in wanting to de-escalate the situation. The first guy, it was a normal stop. The second officer that came in was on one. He was way too aggressive, trying to take control of the situation, which also you have to enforce power as a cop to control the situation. But I don't think that he helped in de-escalating. I think the first cop came in with more intentions of just doing his job the normal way. And the other guy was like, nah, we're not doing this today. You know, and he went in. But I don't think that we can play Tyreek as the full victim. I don't think that's a healthy way to have this conversation. I think it needs both sides of the story.
Right. Yeah, I'm going to chime in a little bit. I'm going to want to wait till the full details come out to give you a full breadth opinion on it. But still, from what I've seen, I don't think any party seemed to be in the right. Like, it seemed like both parties had a lot that they could have done a lot better. Like, seems like both parties came into the situation with like puffed up chests. Like, I'm going to own this situation. Like,
listen, like they're not. Sorry to cut you off, Chris, but there was that complex, no doubt, by the cops. Cops are under a microscope in this country already, so we're already looking at them in a negative way publicly. The mass public is looking at, not the mass, but a lot of the country is looking at cops ready for them to make a mistake, right? And trying to do a very difficult job. They're also fearful because they're humans that have to go back to their families as well. And as an individual, and we can speak on personal experience and how you guys have handled situations, but you can't put a cop in a position to be fearful. These are humans.
Mhm.
These are humans. They're not everybody in every job we make mistakes. Why would we absolve cops to this different? They're regular guys that become cops that for whatever reason, and they want to help the country or have a career, whatever the case is. People make mistakes in all professions. Why would we absolve cops as if they're non-sinful humans? We all are going to sin. We're all going to mess up and make mistakes. Why are we holding them under a microscope that sometimes is not fair and sometimes complete and utter unacceptable nature by cops? I don't think this was like, I think the guy did not do well in the situation, the second cop, but also, are we really going to nitpick every single one that didn't go, perfectly? I don't know.
Yeah, I feel what you're saying for sure. Like I think all of that has to be said. Like there's situations where police brutality is a thing and it's awful and it shouldn't happen. There's
100%.
terrible cops, but there's also the realization that you have to have like these are human beings in a position to where they're trying to make sure that society is going the way that it needs to, that we're safe out here. And they're human beings coming to their jobs, fearful for their lives sometimes in situations too. And so like there's a grace that needs to be had, but also like some accountability and responsibility for those situations that do go wrong. And obviously
100%.
in that second cop, like just him springing into action and jumping on his back was a little bit.
There was
outrageous.
unnecessary force by the second cop. Let's say that.
If you really did have surgery, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
but here's
no doubt.
the other thing though, like knowing what we know about how a lot of things have gone with the police, especially in recent history, well, throughout history, but like it's more seen now.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be some sort of like this. It shouldn't be this way, but you have to understand going into those situations. Like, okay, I have to be extra like cordial in these situations. This comes on both sides, to be honest. Like police have to know this as well as like civilians. Like I've got to do more than I usually would with a human being just to make sure that this transaction and this exchange goes well. And not saying that either party, they really should have had a better way of going about it. Like it just, you could tell from the get-go that was not going to go well. The knocking of the window was extreme, and then him putting the window back up was extreme. How he answered it was extreme. Like from the get-go, it was obviously about to go south. You could see that as soon as they came into contact. Like
and I think there was definitely some unnecessary force after you have control of the situation, and that's where the conversation begins. But prior to that, I honestly think Tyreek could have handled the situation in a way that would have better made that situation for everyone. And I do think with cops, they do in certain situations, because I've seen bad situations with cops. I've seen police brutality, and I've seen people try to shoot cops as well. So it's like you have to have a level of aggressiveness in your mind to do that job. And there is going to be some spillover, and some of it is negative, and we did see that with the unnecessary force. But we're not lawyers, but I know Brandon wanted to talk about this, so we can wrap this up and get into sports talk. Any closing?
One more point. I just want to ask the question of like, what would have been the best route for each party? Like, say for the cop, what was the best thing they could have did, and then for Tyreek, what's the best thing they could have did in that situation?
So,
in your opinion, obviously, we're not,
Tyreek, experts, obviously. Just your mannerism and speaking to the cops. You don't need to be a yes man to the cops. You're a grown man. You can stand your ground, but also help them do their job. They're pulling you over for a speeding ticket. You were speeding. So let me help you get that information, and let me be respectful. So there's no room for that second cop that did have an ego issue. And again, sometimes that is a spillover because of the aggressive nature that they need to have in other situations. What if somebody's trying to hurt them? They're trying to get home to their family. So I just think as civilians, I think we just need to help the cops do their job. And then if there's any wrongdoings at that point, it's 100% on the cops. But to answer your question, I think Tyreek, keep the window up. He was being a little bit difficult. Let's be honest here. And Tyreek maybe has a little bit of an ego and thinks that he's he's absolved of those responsibilities that us normal folk like also have. Like, do you guys think that Tyreek could have handled that a little bit better?
Yeah, that's my reason asking the question. I think they both could have handled it way better. Like, coming to the situation, say you're Tyreek, obviously it's an annoyance. You're going to the game, it's your game, right? And he taps on your window, maybe what you felt like was too aggressive. If it's me, my mindset is I got a game. I'm gonna take.
But you're flying. You're flying in a slow area. Like, what about Tyreek thinking? Here's an angle. And nobody really wants to say stuff like this. But what about Tyreek's ego and driving that fast in a slow area? Someone else could have got hurt. It's not like we've never seen NFL players.
We all speed.
You know what I mean?
We all speed.
I don't speed like that. And not to make that this kind of thing, but I just want to be clear, like, what he did was not okay as well. He was speed. We all speed, don't get me wrong, but you're flying in a slow area like that, you get pulled over, and you have to understand why you're getting pulled over.
So again,
that's one thing. Got to wait till
like Chris said, if it's 100 and if the radar was calibrated correctly, whatever, if it's 100% agree with you. But if it's only 15, 20 over, sure, it's bad, right? Like, it's not safe and everything like that. But if it's only 15 or 20 over, that aggression is crazy. Now, if it's 45 over, I understand a little
felony. It's dangerous at that point, right?
I understand it. The thing that Tyreek could have done better, literally, it was a small window. Keep your window down or whatever. Everything else after that was he did everything. He said, do what you got to do. He said, I'm getting arrested. That might have been a little bit extra, but that's not a felony, or that's not a crime.
Everything outside of the car, I think.
Yeah, outside of the window.
It was unnecessary force. I'm just saying, how can we be smarter as civilians to not put because the ultimate goal is for everyone to get home safe. So why would we make it more difficult if we think that a cop might be fearful or we like?
But why should we be fearful of the cops?
As unfortunate as it
is. Because the reality of the situation is, and this isn't just for the Tyreek situation, cops are fearful as well. They're just like us, Brandon. So I've seen so many cases of cops getting shot and killed, and it's very sad. And I'm not saying that you can't use some common sense in that situation and for that situation to be a little bit better. But what I'm saying is we're never going to have a mistake-ridden group of people, cops included. So yes, if we're fearful, I'm not saying we should be scared of cops, but cops do have to enforce a level of assertiveness and control over the situation. So they're going to be coming into the situation. In my opinion, they need to be a little more aggressive. No unnecessary force, as we saw with Tyreek. Outside of the car, there was a point where it got unnecessary. And that is all ego, and that needs to stop. That unnecessary. But going into the situation, you have to control that situation. And I've seen body cam footage of cops half step and get shot.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I'll say,
most of that, all that is true. But I just want to set up Brandon because I feel like I don't know if he said it here or if that was in the group message, but like there needs to be like a proper screening process of like the people in these leadership positions, especially police officers. You kind of liken it to being in the military of who goes out on those missions and stuff.
The girl that got shot, if you do a little bit of research, he had bounced from like 3 or 4 different he'd been kicked out of 3 or 4 different precincts prior to that, like within the past couple of years. So there's side note, that's a sidebar, but we don't see those behind the scenes. We don't see the things that they're dealing with as a police officer. So there are bad apples like anywhere. However, the only thing I'll say is, given the military, right? My perspective is in the military. We don't say, hey, we're going to give this person the benefit of the doubt because he's human. It's no, we hold him to a higher standard because he has a higher responsibility. There's no way around that. And I'll die on that hill in the sense of we have a higher responsibility, so we have to conduct ourselves higher. I can't go wear my uniform and act a fool out in public. I can't do that.
I'm not saying that they don't have a high. Hold on. I'm not saying that they don't have a higher sense of responsibility. There's no doubt. Any professional has a different standard than people outside of that profession, and these are the people that are supposed to protect us and de-escalate situations. That being said, as a believer of just how sinful the nature of man is, you're not going to avoid that. So I'm just coming at it from a realistic point of view, saying that I understand man and I understand sin, and I understand that there's no avoiding this when you have mass groups. Like a police is a mass job. I'm not saying we shouldn't hold them to that standard. I'm saying everyone's going to fall short at some point when you have groups of people. So I just want to clarify that.
Yeah.
I'm not defending bad cops. Bad cops, I can't stand. There's nothing that angers me more than a police officer with a power trip. I understand that. I'm just talking for both sides. And I think it's important to like also not umbrella police officers, because I know a lot of amazing ones of all colors that have good impacts on. Anyways, closing statement. This is a sports show, but this is sports related. Go ahead.
The only thing I'll say is the last thing I'm going to say is just I don't want to kill anything, but there is, so full disclosure, I'm mixed. I'm Black and Puerto Rican. I have a family who's mixed. I have a little nephew right here who is a mixed individual. So when I say this, just understand that I'm not what I look like in terms of color, right? Like I'm not as pale or whatever, lighting's bad or whatever. It's a Cuban guy or a Hispanic individual who was driving that fact, right? And there could be a sense of race in terms of that, but let's be mindful that it was, if we're going to say it like this, a minority going after minority, and there could be race involved with that, but it's not like and I wouldn't view it as a race, white versus black type of deal. It was definitely like a Mexicans versus, that type of deal. That it could be the mentality, but I want to make sure that if that narrative comes up, that we look at it from what it is.
I don't think I don't think that. Yeah, that's why I said that, because I know there's so many race baiters out there. I don't want race to be a discussion in this case. There is bad people of all races, and cops are people of all races, and sometimes those people in that position of power fall short. So I don't want that to be a racial thing. I think that only divides our country. Anyways.
Yeah.
I just wanted.
That's enough politics for today. That's enough politics for today.
I hate politics.
The professor is about to come out here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Chris, do you want a closing statement? Because I feel like you didn't get to.
No, I mean, just on the last bit, like race will just inevitably be a part of this conversation because of the history that police have had with Black populations in the United States. And so it's going to be a discussion, and it's warranted, but I do think what we're saying here too is very true, that it's kind of really the professional conversation that needs to be had of how things should have operated in terms of how the police should have acted, as well as some things that we could do better as civilians, make those transactions go much more smoothly and everybody gets home safely. So there will be a racial discussion, but I don't want like we're saying, also the kind of another conversation to get lost in that, because of how important it is just for the future of us, everybody getting home safe. Like that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah, and no doubt that second officer needs to have some kind of actions taken against him and be held accountable for like, hey, you can't act like this. You made a mistake, you fell short, you need to fix this. Like the accountability, and I believe it's there. I think they came out the Miami-Dade station came out and said that there were. I'm not really sure on the statement, but I know they were taking some kind of action. So, all right, let's get into some football.
Sports, baby. Sports.
Chris, talk to me about these rookie QBs. Who stood out to you? What did you? Let's start with Caleb Williams. How did you
Caleb, man,
grade his performance? Break it down.
What to think? Honestly, I think his gameplay got exposed a little bit with the big leagues. Now, still a fantastic talent, and this is going to happen to any or most, because we have CJ Stroud now, but this is going to happen to most new rookie quarterbacks, is that they're going to get a little shell shocked in the beginning of these seasons, and you have to give them a little grace. But I think you could see his play style getting out of the pocket and trying to make those plays like he did in college, and they were miraculous plays, can't happen at the magnitude that they did in college. Like the margin of error is so much smaller in the pros. The defense is 100 times better in the pros, especially with the competition he was going up against in college. And so his play style, while he can still play like that, and probably the Bears want him still to have that kind of, those intangibles, he's going to have to reel it in a little bit and make some better decisions, have a little bit better pocket presence. And, he's going to continue to develop. But obviously this wasn't a great showing.
Chris,
the superiority of the defense is what really kind of exposed.
I want to ask a question to both of y'all. And I don't know. How much does the receiving core play into this? I didn't watch the game. I don't know. But
not
much
much.
Not much.
Not much, in my opinion. I really have not been high on Caleb Williams since he was at USC. I think it has a lot of tangible athletic ability that's super impressive. He kind of reminds me of Anthony Richardson, although I think Anthony Richardson will be better when it's all said and done. I see Anthony Richardson kind of figuring it out this year. I think he will.
It kind of seemed like it, yeah.
But I think Caleb, he's going to have trouble in the locker room. I don't know that he's a leader of men yet. I don't know if he will be. I didn't see that at USC. I saw someone that when it got tough, I saw him break mentally. And if you can't do that with that USC team, I don't see how you're going to do it with the NFL team that has guys that these are grown men. So, and at the quarterback position, you have to have that level of respect, whether it be through your play, through the way that you speak. I don't know that he has either. I don't know that he can prove it through his play. I don't know that he can prove it through what he says and how he leads men. I don't know if he's ready for that. Not to say that he can't grow into that. But I just have not been. When he was at USC, I was like, he's not playing great defenses. I know he makes big plays, but every time he got into tough situations against a Utah defense or something like that, he broke. And those are the moments that you look at for NFL guys. And I just haven't seen that. I can say that I don't think he's going to be great. He has the ability to do so, but he's got a lot of work to do.
I'm with you. I'm really with you on this one. I think this is such a slept on thing when it comes to understanding locker rooms and team dynamics. Like at the quarterback position, especially in the NFL, when it is grown men with families who have been there, they're vets for years and years, they're established. You got to be able to come in as a quarterback and command that locker room. You got to have like the intangible charisma about you that people want to get behind you and play for you and play with you. And that's one thing that I did see. Even like I really kind of started paying attention to how he was, personality wise, how he was during the draft.
Personality matters.
I didn't really see, I couldn't see a group of men, especially in the league, get behind him and be like, all right, I want to play for and with this guy. Like you can see that with CJ Stroud. Like he has those leadership qualities to where you're like, okay, this man, he has a mission. He's doing what he says. He expects us to do. Like he's like it's that it factor. It's the things that it's hard to define, but you can tell that like CJ Stroud is a guy that can get into a locker room and grown men are like, all right, let's get it, let's go.
Right.
But that Caleb Williams, there was a lot of
so we don't official take right here. We're not high on Caleb Williams as of now, but we believe that he could grow into something. But as of right now, there's no evidence to think that the way that you know football, the way that I think I know football, I can't see it. The most impressive. We'll talk about the two other rookies, Bo Nix and Jalen Daniels. I think Jalen Daniels. I texted you during that game. He's special. I'm talking about like potential to be one of the best QBs in the NFL one day, I believe. And I think if he stays healthy, that's the big question, because he was out there on an island with the Commanders. Like he had no help. The defense was atrocious. There was a lot of pressure on him to do a lot, and I'm worried about him getting hurt. If he stays healthy, I think no doubt he'll be the best quarterback in this draft class. Did you watch
Yeah.
that game? Do you like Jalen? What do you think about him?
I saw bits and pieces. But what I saw is what I've been seeing from Jalen for years. And I've been high
Yeah.
on Jalen for years. Like you guys know, but I'm a professor at FSU. I've been watching this dude. We've been playing the first game of the season for the past 2 years. And I've been locked into all his games since that first game we played. And he's a special talent. Like he has that thing that, Caleb Williams might not have too. Like this is those intangibles that like people want to get behind. He has that swag about him. Like it's something about that. Like you got to have that at QB, but also then the tangibles. Like the man can make any throw. He trusts his receivers, which is huge. He knows he has an understanding of timing. I mean, the man is obviously dangerous with his legs. Put him behind a fantastic O-line and give him a decent defense. We're looking at something really, really special.
Right.
Very special.
I agree. I just hope he doesn't get hurt, man.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I just hope he doesn't get hurt. I love the way he slides head first, though. I think it's the best way to slide. Like, I was like, okay, I feel like that's a good formula. He knows when to get down, and also it's not your traditional slide, which I feel like, ironically, quarterbacks get hurt in more often than they do a guy that kind of cartwheel, he just dives head first and kind of like, I don't even know what to call it, but he gets down really well. He didn't take any shots. And then Bo Nix, I didn't know what to think about him in college throughout the preseason. And then week 1, he gave his team a chance to win. He improvises really well. I think he does have more of that mentality as a rookie that's impressive, more on the impressive side. So I think Bo will be better than people thought. But the way I would rank it after week 1, quarterback rookie rankings would definitely be Jalen by a long shot, or Jaden Daniels, and then Bo, and then Caleb, like way below.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So I'm trying to stay relevant, right? I'm over here scrambling. So I'm looking at just statistics. Again, I didn't see any of the games or whatever, but I'm looking at Caleb Williams, and obviously no touchdowns, no interceptions. But Bo Nix, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Obviously, having 138 is a little bit better. QBR is a little bit better, so maybe a little bit more efficient in from what I'm looking at right now. But at what point does the interception start to become a problem? Because if he already threw 2 against the Seahawks, that.
Well, I'm gonna tell you. Let me say this: you have to watch the games because you then understand. Numbers matter, no doubt, but also Bo was forced into those situations where he threw a pick when they're trying to go win a game. Whereas Caleb, you have to understand how the Bears got their points.
Yeah, no. I read it was defense and special teams and stuff like that. So I read a little bit about it.
Caleb, there wasn't a quarterback in the NFL on any roster at any level of the position that you couldn't put out there to do as good or a better of a job. You win that game with any third string quarterback.
Okay,
any third string quarterback on any roster. And you got to understand, going into Seattle for Bo Nix, my God, that's a tough place to play in Seattle with a really good defense. You're attacking.
There's an argument to be had for, Bo maybe dropping the rankings a little bit. And I think the only thing really is that I would have liked to have seen some more down the field accuracy and passes from him. A lot of his passes seem to be, and he's just getting started. Like he's getting his feet under himself, and so that's as expected. But a lot of it was kind of short yardage, short routes where he ate up a lot of his yards. And so I'd like to see. And I mean, this is maybe not fair. It's his first game. He's a rookie, but I would like to see some down the field, cutting through some coverages, passes in the way that can really be some explosive plays for the offense. So where that really opens up your passing game and your offensive.
I think as an OC, you're trying to get rookies just confidence and completions. Although there's no doubt that, hey, at the end of the day, you got to win football games as a rookie too. Yeah. But we know historically that rookies don't really win football games. Rookies that start, I mean, I think Peyton Manning went 1-15 his first year as a starter. There's great quarterbacks that you're just not really going to win. and going into Seattle
Yeah.
is tough.
CJ Stroud, he's an anomaly, guys. He's an anomaly.
He's incredible. He's going to be one of the GOATs.
I mean,
He's-
He started out with it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's go. Let's you got anything, B, or what?
I was going to say they made him throw 42 times, Bo Nix. That's a lot.
Yeah.
For like a
I like
rookie.
that.
So definitely
like it.
there's a lot of pressure on that versus, when you have, if you compare him to obviously Caleb Williams is 28. So, you know, he's getting a little bit more reps.
I love that B is the stat guy. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that you're a numbers guy. I need you to start watching these games, but I want you to keep coming with that. That's your role in football, numbers.
Yeah.
He's literally does it for a profession.
Yeah,
He loves
it's because I can look at it and obviously eye test is different than statistics, but when you look at it, I could argue either way really that you had Bo Nix getting more of a chance to have an opportunity because he threw 42 times in a span of 4 quarters versus Caleb Williams not getting a chance to throw.
Yeah, that becomes when you watch the games and you see what the quarterbacks are doing, you're understanding why they're not allowing Caleb to go lose the game for them.
Yeah. And
Caleb would have lost the game for him if he had the chance.
Yeah.
You
44,
as a coordinator, you understand our defense is making plays, our special teams making plays to keep us in this game. Let's minimize the offense. Let's punt it on first. Let's punt it on first down. And then have our defense go win the game. That's what happened.
Yeah,
the offense was non-existent. He's going to run into really bad issues when he's forced to throw the ball. The OC protected him in a really good way. The Bears did a great job everywhere besides the quarterback position, and Caleb's just going to have to grow. He's a rookie. I don't expect him to be good. My take on him is that he's not going to end up being good, but we have to give him time, to be fair.
Yeah. Gotcha.
All right.
Gotcha.
Let's transition into my favorite topic right here. Colorado versus Nebraska. It was ugly. It was ugly. Did you guys watch that game?
No, I didn't watch it, but
until I couldn't anymore.
Yeah, it was ugly. So one of our topics we have is how long is Colorado going to give Dion to figure this thing out and start to win? Chris B, how long? How long do we wait? I have my answer. I'll let y'all go.
Yeah, I think my answer is gonna shock y'all. But go ahead, Brandon. I'll let Brandon go.
All right, look.
Okay.
As a resident of a person who doesn't really understand this, because of the media hype, because of everything surrounding it, because of the rah, he's already did 1 year. He started out great, fizzled out. This year, it all depends on really, this is probably his most important year. If he does 4-5, okay, or 4-8 or whatever it was last year, if he matches that record, not horrible, but not great. If he wins under 4 games, it's bad. If he wins over, but only like 5 or 6, still not great, but better. If he doesn't hit 9 or 10 win game by year 3, by the time everything's happening, I think it should be done because you got to give him time. You give him 1 year. You're trying to get your system right, to establish a program. Second year, this is where returning players see how they kind of perform. But losing to Nebraska in that fashion, it's just not a good look, All
right, I'm going to go and then Chris, you go. First of all, the reality is the topic is how long will Colorado give him? However long he wants. Let's be real. The amount of business he's bringing into Colorado, if you get rid of Dion, one, you don't get the talent that you're bringing in, right? You don't have the revenue. This is a business at the end of the day. That is let's be clear. It's a business first. If you're bringing in that kind of difference in revenue, there's no doubt you're going to have a job. Winning is second. And a lot of times winning brings more revenue, but in this case, you have an anomaly. You have Dion and the Sanders kids bringing in that kind of revenue first. So you have this unbelievable net to lose. I really believe there's no situation that they fire Dion. I think the issue with their team, and let's not be too hard on them. I'm realistic about these situations. Dion is trying to build a college football program that is incredibly hard to do. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care who
Agreed.
you are. You take a
Agreed.
program that is not Alabama, not Georgia, not one of these top programs, you're going to struggle to win. With that being said, Matt Rule did the same thing with Nebraska last year.
Yeah.
Matt Rule has made a bigger difference than Deion Sanders had in terms of winning. And I'm not saying ultimately the responsibility falls on Deion, but I think it's more to do with his staff. But as a head coach, you have to know how to be offensive coordinator. You have to know what good defensive coordinating is, because as a head coach, you are the manager of those and the overseer of those, and that's how you hold those guys accountable.
Yeah.
With that being said, the responsibility falls on Deion, but he needs to do a better job of getting the right staff, because I think the issue is I thought the play calling was so simple and terrible. I think that Colorado went and got the guys. I think Deion has got all the guys needed. I think the Nebraska staff outcoached the Colorado staff. I don't think a lot of people are talking about it. You can't be that predictable offensively as Colorado. You're dropping back and putting all the weight on Shedeur. That's not how football works. Guess what?
Yeah.
Nebraska, freshman QB, Raiola, they play inside out. They play, let's get the offense rolling in these simple ways first, and then we'll take shots with Raiola. Not let's go 5 wide the first play and put all the weight on Shedeur. So in my opinion, Nebraska put their quarterback in a better position to succeed. They play football the right way, whereas Colorado is putting all the weight on Shedeur. And as good as Shedeur, I think Shedeur is the first quarterback that goes. He's incredible. His ability to process information, his awareness, his ability to throw balls at all 3 levels is incredible, and I think he's the best. But Raiola was the better quarterback that day because of their coaching staff, and their staff needs to come to practice and understand they need to make adjustments, because the onus is on them.
100%. I mean, I thought I was going to shock y'all, but sometimes me and Austin sync up exactly on how we feel about these things. That's exactly how I feel.
I wasn't thinking about business. I'm sorry, I didn't think about business, but you're right. I agree.
Yeah, Deion has as long as he wants.
From a strictly football standpoint, that was it. But I agree with the points, in terms of it's hard to do and money.
For sure. Like, it is, he has brought so much money to that institution.
It's a lot.
It would be an incredibly insane business move to let this man go. Insane. So much
and the
money.
people are still all the way behind him.
Yeah, all the way. They love him.
So,
they love Deion.
yeah.
They love him. Yeah.
He's unfireable.
So that's that. But the other stuff, too, I agree with as well. I think that their game plan just wasn't that great. Like, this is not 7-on-7. You got to have some sort of tactics of where you're going to run this.
Talk to me.
and open up.
Football is still a physical game.
Yes.
Trenches. The trenches win.
Control those trenches. Yes, 100%. And that's another thing, too. He definitely went out and got some guys. He did a good job recruiting. He always does. He's one of the best recruiters. Talk about Deion, one of the best recruiters we've seen in this era. And this is a crazy era to be a good recruiter in. But I still think they're lacking a little bit up front on both sides of the ball. It's going to take more than that to win some football games. Like, you got to be able to, and it might be too late because Shedeur might be leaving after this year, but you need to be able to get somebody. You need to be able to get some guys to let Shedeur do what he can do. And it doesn't look like
you got to establish some kind of run game. And I don't know how you want to do that. There's multiple ways you could do that as an offensive coordinator. But one of the things you don't do is not establish the run and continue to do what you're doing and just let it be the most predictable offense in America. And what did Nebraska do? Pin their earbacks, all kind of blitz. They can get really creative defensively when you know exactly what. And Nebraska was just more creative. And as far as the offensive defensive line goes, I think that they are a little bit outmatched in that position when matching up with Nebraska. But they also didn't look great against North Dakota State. And I know North Dakota State is a great program. They don't have the talent level, right? They don't have the talent level up front that Colorado has. So that's why my thing is put your line coaches in better situations to look better. Be a little creative. Pull, like, be creative with the blocking schemes and zone reads, and it's just I think a lot of it is on coaching and not allowing their players to flourish. And I think other programs are like Nebraska, Raiola. He looks sharp because they're playing football in a way that, say, like the Niners would play, which is just creative and, you know, they're putting a lesser quarterback in a position to succeed, like Brock Purdy. You know,
let me ask you this. So again, just trying to think of what I see and what I hear. So when I watched the Deion interview, and Deion interview was like, against the first game they played, you said was it Northwestern? I can't remember the name of
North Dakota State.
North Dakota State. Okay. So when he said that, because he was like, obviously the reporters were like, why are you going? Why are you only throwing? Why are you not running? His exact answer was, this is what they're giving me. Now, do you think based off of that, is he still playing off of this is what they're giving me, or are you?
First of all,
forcing it.
I don't understand what they're giving him. I think you have a really good quarterback and a really good receiving core. You got Travis Hunter and Jimmy Horn. Like that's one of the best quarterback to receiver combinations that you can think of in the country. Sure. So in terms of they're giving it to him, well, it didn't seem like Nebraska gave them anything. They completely shut them down. So I think he wants to play that way, and that staff wants to play that way. And it works because you have Shedeur, like I said, amazing guys in those places. You're going to move the ball, but I don't think that they're giving it to him. And Chris, from like the ultimate, you played at the high level. So like, what do you see? Are they just giving it to him, or does he want to see that way?
No, he wants to see it that way. He definitely wants to see it that way. They're not giving it to him. Now, how they could do it, this is how if I have my offensive coordinator hat on, and this is true for all programs right now at the collegiate level and in the pros. I think if you're not doing shifts and motions before the play, you're dead in the water. You're
simple.
Dead in the water.
It's too simple.
Defenses are way too smart, and it's too easy to disguise a coverage nowadays. And so what they could easily do is add in those shifts and those motions, as well as they need to be able to use some of those people going in shifts and motions in the run game as well, right? They got the Jimmy Horns, they got the Travis Hunters, and so if they want to get these guys the balls, which you do, you want to get your stars the ball, they can go ahead and do that with the shifts and motion and get them the ball through the run game. They're also going to have to add in. Yeah, they're also going to have to add in some running up the middle as well. But
and the reason you do that, you do that pre-snap, and by the way, if you guys didn't watch the Sunday Night Football game, McVay and Stafford magicians with exactly what Chris is talking about. Every single time, I don't know what the terminology is for this, Chris, but they send a guy in motion. It's like kind of a whip motion. What would you call it? Football terminology. Is that what it?
Probably I just probably call it that.
I mean, but what you're doing pre-snap though is trying to figure out whether a team is in man or zone. That is what you're doing, and it's also just off-putting for the defense. You have a motion guy, it kind of, and then you can run it up the gut, or you can have a different scheme blocking wise. But I'm glad you said that.
That's when you can see what they're giving you, because they have to expose themselves.
Okay. So you get to see how they're going to react to that.
And then if you want to go spread after that, and once you figured out their defense, and you don't have to do as many motions, because then you can go spread, and now they're obviously exposed. You know their tendencies, you know the patterns that they're doing, you know they're wanting to set up, you know what their players can do. But you got to set it up with those motions and those shifts nowadays, because it's too easy for this guy.
Set it up early. You can't throw all your chips out. You want to build inside out as far as play calling goes. It's all about setups, and that's how you allow your quarterback to be more successful, especially a young one like Shedeur going to play in front of 100,000. You can't just go 5 wide. He's not like but you can't expect that out of anybody. It's just too much.
No run game.
No run game, and I don't understand why they continue to say that they don't need. It's like they haven't put up a lot of points against good defenses, so I don't understand why they're just saying we're just taking what they give us. Well, you're not scoring, so you need to figure out something different to put points on the board.
100%.
They're not giving you anything. You scored 3 points. That last touchdown, it was 28-3.
Yeah, that was
that was a garbage.
The third stringers.
You didn't score. So are you just saying that you're not good enough? Your kids are not good enough? are you saying everyone you recruited are just not good enough? And I'm a huge Deion fan. I think the way that he handles himself, like socially and his answers and just his whole aura and everything he stands for, I love. But football wise, he needs to take control of his staff and say, no more yes men. Like, we have to fix this. We're not good enough. This is not the result that we're going to be okay with. And I feel like some of his answers are kind of saying, this is what they're giving us, It's like, we're just going to, but no, you got to fix it. You got to fix it.
Yeah.
Chris,
I'm a huge Deion fan too.
Huge Deion fan.
I think he's going to figure it out. He's a winner. I think he's going to figure it out.
It's so early. He's got to learn how to coach. He's got to learn how to, I'm not saying he doesn't know how to coach, but he needs to make adjustments. There's no doubt. I mean,
for sure.
So I had a question. So with you're talking like the motions and stuff like that, we're obviously their best receivers, Travis Hunter. What position would he be best in? Would he be best in as the decoy, or would he be best in kind of like just running like I don't know, obviously slant? Like, I'm not quite sure. So he would. So you just put him anywhere and he would just be successful.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously have to strategize with your players, but he could run, like, if you're asking about being a decoy with the motions or not, you use that. You use him as a decoy sometimes. You use it. You make everything look the same, but you have a variety of different things that you can do out of it, right? So that they don't know what you're going to do when you're going to those motions, those shifts. And so it's dangerous, and it opens up your ability to, like, now strategize and play a game. Like, they think we're going to run this because we did this 2 times in this exact same motion, but we have 10 different plays that we can run out of this exact set with this personnel doing these motions and these shifts. And so you can be able to strategize based off of what they do on those, those first 2 times or whatever it is. So he could be whatever role, right? He's that type of dynamic player where he can be that decoy, where you probably do want him to be the decoy sometimes to set up another option, but also you want him to have those big splash plays, those big explosive plays too. So just make it look the same. It doesn't have to always look exactly the same, but you want it to look somewhat similar so that you can start strategizing with those shifts and motions. Like, now I see what the defense is going to give me. Now that's what I'm saying. Like, now you know what the defense is giving you once you strategize with it. So
that's
game on the line. Game on the line.
Straight from the receiver. Straight from the receiver's mouth. All right. So we're gonna pivot into probably our last topic, unless you guys have anything else. And this one, I had a long conversation with my dad about this. I was just befuddled. It was insane to me. This whole thought process. We can't even get into my Jags. We don't have time for my Jags today. Don't even get me going. Y'all know how it'll get with me, because ETN, you hold the football, you win, brother. Protect the ball. You go up 2-3 scores, it's over. 14-point swing. Chris, I texted you. I said 14 points. This game is over. Game's over.
It's insane. Yeah, insane. NFL, you can see it.
NFL, you can see. You know how close you're cutting corners in the NFL?
Yeah,
we're not. I can't do that. I love you, ETN. You gotta protect the ball, bro. Last topic. The situation in Atlanta is terrible. Like, and this speaks to a lot of the conversations that are the points that I've made in our group chat. And this is cool because this is an extension of our group chat. This is our group chat coming to life.
Coming alive. Yeah.
The thought process of these decision makers in high positions in all sports lack common sense.
That's facts.
Michael, and it's like, I don't know who's making these decisions. I don't know. Does this guy with $1 bajillion make this common sense football decision? I don't know. Kirk Cousins does not need to be the starting quarterback in Atlanta. You signed him for $1 bajillion, and you have one of the highest hope quarterbacks in the draft. Michael Penix Jr. has done nothing but impress me in all aspects of the game. He can spin it. He has the arm talent. He has the mental capacity. He processes information well. He played in a complex system at Washington against great defenses and performed at the highest level. This is not a Caleb Williams case. Michael Penix Jr. could be one of the best quarterbacks in the league 5 years from now, and we don't know. But I'll tell you what,
And he's a gamer.
The Atlanta, a gamer. But the Atlanta fans are not going to put up with Kirk's. I don't know what Kirk did to deserve. Listen, Kirk's been good. But he's never won in the biggest moments. So I don't understand how they're paying guys like this that haven't won in big moments. He's had opportunities. Kirk's been a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. But I think you take a chance with Michael Penix Jr., and I think that it won't be long. What do y'all think?
Yeah, no, I'm with you, but it's a money thing. It's a money. He's getting paid that much because he's a good quarterback. His contract was up, and you got to get paid that. That's what his agent, got for him. But here's the issue, and you said it perfectly. It's the management. You don't go out and get a guy like Michael Penix Jr. when you just paid Kirk Cousins all of that money. Because here's the thing, Kirk Cousins has to start. He has to start.
Exactly. And that's where you can lack common sense because there's no decision-making process. It's we paid you a bajillion, you have to start.
Yeah. And now the problem is I've never seen it work, ever. I've never seen it work in any capacity. If you have two guys vying for that QB position, you're cooked. You're cooked. You need to have an established leader. And it goes back to taking the command of the locker room as well. You need an identity as a football team. You need somebody who gets in there in the game, in the locker room, in practice, who guys say, okay, this is the guy. This is our QB. And that, as crazy as that might seem, is having maybe two really good quarterbacks on your team, it isn't a good thing. I've never seen it work. Never. You need to have that guy. Never seen it work. Never. So I don't understand why.
I can't even think of, and there's exceptions. There's exceptions to every rule. I can't even think of an exception to the rule for this. That's how bad it is. You're completely right.
It doesn't work.
You can't. And I understand you want to get a vet to come in and teach Penix the reins, but you get a vet that's
not the vet you want. That's not the
you get a vet to start the first few games that you didn't pay much, so you can pay in other positions. And everybody knows it's still Penix's team, but this vet is going to start the few games maybe and show him the ropes, and it'll be a smooth process. Now with Kirk Cousins, you tied up all this money, you didn't use it in other positions. You're trying to build a well-rounded football team, and you pay a quarterback that I don't even think is the best on your roster. Actually, I think Michael Penix Jr. will come in and play better.
Yeah,
Kirk,
he needs to get some burn, but he can't. Like he can't get the burn. Like they paid him too much money. And it's just a bad decision now. Like even though what it is, I think Michael Penix Jr. should be playing in the games. But if I'm the coach of the Falcons, you got to ride it out with Kirk Cousins. Like for one of the reasons I'm saying, like you need to have that one guy as your QB that the entire team understands. Okay, this is the dude. This is the dude we're getting behind. Like that's so important. That leadership
to buy in. And something tells me. Something tells me the guys in the locker room are bought into Penix.
That's the problem. Yeah, exactly.
They don't want to play with Kirk, so we're gonna let you go.
Let's be real. Do y'all think Atlanta wants Kirk to be their quarterback?
Nobody in Atlanta.
I don't think so.
Who?
I think they want the guy. Yeah, I think they want the guy that can sling it, and is a gamer. I think they got a lot of hope in Mike and Penix.
For sure, they don't want somebody who's on like their 13th, 14th year. Like that's crazy.
It hasn't shown to win the big games. Kirk has
had
been
a horrible year last year.
Kirk's been great.
Not 180 great.
Kirk's been good at the highest level of good, but to be great, you got to win. And I just don't think I don't think that was a good decision in Atlanta. So,
do you think anybody else makes this decision?
What's that?
You think any other team makes this decision?
What do you mean?
Oh,
like sign him for 180.
Somebody? Oh,
teams do it.
Kirk.
Yeah, no, this will be Kirk's. This will be Kirk's last stint, I believe.
Last big contract, but he'll be.
But I'm saying, do you think any other team, if Atlanta didn't do it, you think he's getting 180 somewhere else?
That's why I don't know. I don't know.
Probably.
He's getting somewhere around there for sure, but. I think like other teams could have used him more,
Yeah, I see what you're saying because you have Well, do you think it would be like a Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers type of situation where Brett Favre was still. Do you think it's similar to that, or do you think it's just off base completely?
Oh,
That's
he
a valid
wasn't.
point.
He wasn't. Kirk Cousins is not Brett Favre or
For-
Aaron Rodgers.
That's not what I'm saying. Like
Definitely not.
similar. Do you think they're trying to mirror?
Like ushering in Aaron
Oh, sorry,
Rodgers.
sorry.
However, that's a very valid point, but it's not that situation because Kirk Cousins hasn't been at the Falcons forever, and they just realized, okay, I got to continue this franchise once Brett.
Yeah.
once
Okay.
Brett
Okay.
Favre's
Okay.
done.
Okay. Gotcha. If it was Minnesota, it might be different.
Yeah, and Kirk will have good games this year. He's a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
We know he's a good quarterback, but I just think you don't sign a guy that late into the game that's not going to contend you for a Super Bowl, which they won't. And they had some great acquisitions in the offseason where it's like, all right, let's get Penix in there and use these guys and build up from here. But yeah, if you're not going to contend for a Super Bowl, I think you move on. That's my
Yeah, for sure.
to your
For
next
sure.
guy.
That's the goal. That's the goal. But all right, hey,
Yep.
the lunch hour's up for me, boy. Your boys
Yeah,
got to get
yeah.
to work.
Back to work. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all for coming, Chris and B. We'll be back. What are we
Tomorrow,
doing
maybe.
this? Maybe tomorrow.
Tomorrow, Thursday
if
for
not-
sure.
If not, definitely days after games and stuff like that. We'll figure out a schedule, but yeah, we'll call it 11:45 daily. Is that-
So I
Yeah.
could do 11:30 any other day. Tomorrow I'm good. So
Okay. All right. Well, that wraps
I
it
got
up.
11:30 lunch tomorrow, but we'll get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get it.
All right, we're
All right.
off.